and welcome back to the Pleistocene Solo Space Engineer Survival Series. My name is Daniel. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get in today. So we finished last time, we finished our mining ship, and I realized something, and I mentioned it in the last video, but I left this landing gear on, and it didn't cause any problems. When we were drilling. So when we're drilling a little more intensively into some of the ores, it might cause problems, but for now I actually think I'm going to add 2 more landing gear on here because it is nice to be able to land on this platform rather than have it connected to the station. I'm also going to add a connector to the station, but I think having the option to land it is going to be nice as well. So that's, I think, the first thing I'm going to do here. So I need construction components, large steel tubes. Then I'm actually going to go mine some uranium because we even though we've got enough to last us a little while, I want to get a pretty good stock going. So whenever we're not refining other materials, we'll just keep that uranium producing. Okay, so we need construction components, and we need 4. No, we don't need 4. We need 2, because we're going to build 2 more landing gear. 2 of these. We need 2 steel plates. And we need 2 of something else, which I can't seem to remember right now, so we'll come back. Alright, so let's go ahead and place landing gear. Landing gear. I've been thinking a lot about mods as well. I don't usually use too many mods, especially game-changing mods. Like things that make the ships go faster and stuff. I mean, while some of those are kind of fun, I don't know if they would change the game enough to make it worth it. Now I do like detail mods, like things that add. Oh, the large steel tubes is what I forgot. Okay, so I need 2 of those. When I play like by myself, I usually do add in a bunch of like detail mods that don't necessarily change the game, but do add a little bit of design flair to it. So things like beds and furniture and stuff that isn't really used in Space Engineers, but it does tend to flesh out the ships, and I do like doing that. Additionally, I like things like the industrial miner and the industrial drill and the industrial thrusters and things like that. Those things all add a little bit of a component to the game that is just more interesting to have detail like that. So I might start peppering those in later in the series. I really probably won't get to that until we start building bigger ships. For now, when we're building the smaller ships and we're building the stations, we don't really need those. But once we do start designing something a little more complex, then I'll probably start using those. Okay, so my goal here is to mine uranium. Now, after this point, I will be cutting out all of my drilling. Oh yeah, I'm still full of iron, aren't I? Okay, change of plans. So since I don't want to take all of this iron back down and just leave it there, I am going to go ahead and build the connector onto the station real quick so that I can clear all of this iron out of my inventory and have an empty inventory that I can then use to, let's turn off our thrusters so we're not wasting uranium, and we can have all that space to go ahead and use for uranium. Okay, so we do need a down-facing connector. So I'm actually we're gonna need quite a few materials for this, so I'll probably have to start some of that mining. But I actually want to be able to come all the way out here. That way we can, if we need to, we can connect it up and then have the landing pad completely free for, use for other things. So I can maybe build another ship while this one's connected. Oh, I don't need that. Alright, so we'll put the connector on right here. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and build the connector so that I don't have to transfer all of this by hand. Now, I don't think we have all of the materials available, so let's see, how many do we have? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conveyors, and then one connector. Okay, we don't need that anymore. Let's go ahead and get this started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that way it will produce whatever it's using. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this out of here. Go ahead and use up the rest of that. Steel plates. Okay. Put the iron. We'll transfer that into here. Put it first. How's our uranium? It'll be nice once I stop having to worry about uranium. So we're back up to 10 ingots in the station. So I'm actually going to take 5 more of that, put it over here in the ship. We are solid on uranium for now. But once again, I do want to keep it producing so that I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so construction components are going to be probably the most expensive part of these conveyor blocks. So while these finish, I'm actually probably going to fast forward through this part so you don't have to watch it all. Okay, well, once again, impatience got the better of me. As I was starting to move that ore over by hand, I decided that wasn't going to work. I'm much too impatient for that. So I decided to borrow some construction components from some batteries. And one battery I actually ended up taking apart on accident. But the other battery is still actually in good working order. You can see the scrap metal from the battery that I accidentally dismantled over here, but I can put it back together. I've got enough power cells, but and of course now I have probably enough construction components. Oh well, c'est la vie. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is put the rest of this ore in the small storage container we have, small cargo container, and now I can just drag and drop it. So iron ore. Now we have a pretty good reserve going on, and we also have free inventory in our ship that we can completely fill up with uranium. So, all right, so like I said, as I was beginning this episode and got totally sidetracked by needing to build a connector and clear out our ship, I am going to add some flair to this ship once we get a pretty good stock of iron or of steel plates going. But for now, I'm going to mine the uranium, and I'm going to cut out most of the mining in this entire series. But this is only the second time you've seen me fly this ship, so I was going to just let you see it again in action. It can go completely perpendicular to the horizon without falling to the ground, as long as it is not filled with ore. If it does have ore in it, it gets a little too heavy, and it will fall to the ground. Okay, so I have hit an iron pocket here. I'm actually going to plow right through it, though. Got to go deeper for the uranium. And then I see gold off over there to the left, so we do have a gold vein pretty close to our base as well. Now, when we start building large ships, we are going to need lots and lots and lots of iron. So it is good that we have such a strong iron vein here. Although it does seem like it's a relatively thin lens. Alright, so we are at the level of the uranium. I'm going to start pushing forward now so that we can get to it. It is a fairly thin lens of iron, so I don't know whether or not to build a big drilling rig unless we go for something that's mobile. So I might build a mobile, like, large drilling rig later on in the series. For now, this will do us. We're going to probably get started on some kind of big ship pretty soon, but for now we can, mine with this one, and still it's much more efficient than just hand drilling and carrying all the ore back. We're getting I actually tried to do the calculations. I don't think I did it right, but it's something around like 1,000% more ore than I was getting by hand, so might be right. I don't know. Have to do the calculations again. Okay, so we've hit some uranium. We've still got our connector block and the conveyor sorter on, so that we shouldn't have to deal too much with the stone. I am going to once again clear out a little bit of an area so I have like a working space here. Otherwise it gets a little tight. And see, we still got our landing gear, so that it was apparently a good choice. I don't think when we're using the secondary mode for the drill, it does open up a pretty big hole, but I wasn't sure quite how big, so I am glad that it is working out. Okay, got enough of that, so let's go ahead and turn our drills on, just straight up primary mode, and we are going to fill up our cargo containers with this. So now we're going to have a pretty good stock of uranium ore, and it's just going to, like, the iron processes really quickly. I'm going to probably add an arc furnace so that we don't even have to use the refinery for the iron when we get it. But the uranium takes, quite a while to process, so we are probably going to spend a lot more time processing the uranium. It's just going to keep going whenever there's not any other ores to refine. Okay, so see, this is where it gets a little tight. So I gotta make a choice. I either gotta push in like this, or I gotta use the secondary mode again and open up a bigger hole. I think what I'm gonna do is, since I have, you know, the conveyor sorter to manage the stone, I'm just gonna start going up a little bit, because I'm still getting ore with every bite, but it's also getting stone, and as of now, it's kind of falling into my path, which is not ideal, but is not really, I guess, hurting anything. It's just gonna go through the drill more than once. I need to modify it so that gravity's on my side, though. So let's do this. I'm gonna turn off the drills. I'm going to eat down into, with the secondary mode, I'm gonna eat down into the earth just a little, or into this Earth-like planet just a little bit. Because if I can get at an angle where I'm actually facing the drills upward, then the stone will be falling behind me. And that's kind of more what it was designed to do. So right now, the gravity's working against me when it comes to throwing out stone. Okay, so we see our horizon marker there. We're actually facing downward. And as of now, we probably have enough to face upward. You can see the stone now is rolling on the ground like it's fairly flat. So, oh, don't bump too hard into that, Dano. Okay, let's chew the rest of that up. Alright, so all that stone that was falling toward me is now falling down. So now I can actually mine this uranium in a position where I'm facing upward and the stone's falling behind me. So that's ideal. Alright, so let's finish filling up these cargo containers. How we looking? Alright, so we've got one almost full. Got the cockpit full. Alright. I thought it's interesting that they put storage space in the cockpits. I think that's nice, because now I can interact with the stuff in my inventory without actually getting out of the ship. So let's go into first person for a bit. Like I said, I love piloting ships first person, and I do prefer to do that. Unfortunately, there's many situations where that's just not feasible. So I would much rather go into third person rather than destroy my ship by flying it into something that I can't see from this perspective. But alright, how we looking? Got almost we've got one container completely filled, and I'm gonna fill the other two, but I'm gonna fast forward through this part. I'll still let you see it, but I'm going to fast forward through this. So. Okay, so we have full cargo containers. We also filled up the cockpit and the connector block that's on top of our ship. So very carefully going to pilot out of this hole. This reminds me a lot of Star Wars, where the Millennium Falcon is escaping from the asteroid. Specifically the monster in the asteroid. That's no cave. Or this is no cave. I'm misquoting. Oh, I hit something. Okay, so we do have the power. I'm actually holding down on the W key, and we are only moving at a very snail's pace. So most of my power is on the bottom, keeping keeping my ship aloft. But I do have the 2 big thrusters in the back, so it's enough to move me out of the cave, but it's at a fairly slow pace. So which is probably good anyway, because it was a fairly small, tight, enclosed area. Alright. Are we okay? Everything still on the ship? Still got all the landing gear? Yeah, we're still fully put together. Alright. A little worried there for a second. Okay, we're going to go on home, connect this up. What is that? It looks like smoke flying across the screen. Some weird particle effects going on. Or maybe not particle effects, maybe just weird lighting effects. I think they're improving the particle effects in the coming weeks. The last teaser that I saw from the Space Engineers development team said something about particle effects. Alright, so we're connected up. Let's move all this uranium out into the cargo container. Alright, oh, that's the cargo container itself. There we go. Oh, we filled that one up. Okay, let's fill this one up. Oh, I might have too much, but that's okay. Can always build another cargo container if we need to. Alright, we're done with that. We now have a pretty good stock of uranium ore. We're going to keep that processing, keep that going. I'm actually going to start a lot of steel plates making, and hopefully those will be ready by the time we get into the next episode. Next episode is going to be, we're going to start out fleshing out this ship. We're going to make this ship look pretty. We're going to give it a name, and we're going to call it part of our new fleet. So that's going to be most of what the next episode's about, but luckily we're going to keep our uranium also producing, so that we have a pretty good stock of uranium going. And then we'll see where we go. We might want to start working on a big ship, or do something like build a large drilling rig. So we'll see where we go. I don't know. I think the next thing we might need to build is some kind of welding ship, some kind of small welding ship. But I also need to increase my production, so I need to put some assemblers on. I noticed earlier when I was trying desperately to wait for those construction components that we really need to increase our production. So of both ore processing and of assembling and fabricating new components. So we'll be adding a bunch of refineries, a bunch of assemblers, and putting a bunch more modules on in the next few episodes. So I think next episode I might try to come up with a plan of priorities of what to build next. So for now, though, I'm going to start a bunch of steel plates making. So let's go ahead and just get 1,000 of those going, and then next episode we'll start with that and start playing around with the design of this ship. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. This is Daniel for the Pleistocene Solo Survival Space Engineers Space Engineers series. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like future updates, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.